It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, Jon Macri, and Ricey on the beat. Let's go.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my cousin, pal, the man, the plan, the one and only, Jon Macri. Jon, my guy. Well, before I say that, everyone, if you're watching this video on YouTube or if you listen to this on any audio platform, please make sure to subscribe and please make sure to hit that like button. All right, support us. Gives you free we're giving you free content over here. All right, the more subscribers we get, the more content we can push out, and the better we can make it. With that being said, my guy, Jon, how you feeling today, bro? What's going on? How you feeling overall?
I'm good, man. Life is good right now. It's officially fall. The lights are about to turn out in New York. There's going to be no sun starting at 5 o'clock. You know, it's officially turning, man. I can't believe the Jets are so relevant. We went through a heartbreaking week from the Yankees. Losing, getting swept by the Astros, to the Jets, injury, even though we're 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here for the Knicks, man. And so far, on your birthday, you represented us at the Garden. I was there for Game 2 at the Garden. So far, Knicks, Jets, etc. is very well represented at the Garden. And I love what I see from the New York Knicks. I know we're 2-1, meaning we lost, and that was to America's darling right now, the Memphis Grizzlies. Us and the Nets both lost to our only road game. Like they finished up New York real quick within the first couple games of the season. It was a close one, man. To overtime, but dude, Alex, I mean, you've been all over Knicks fan TV. I want to hear your experience so far going into the season. I want to know about your first game of the year with Knicks Fan TV at the Garden at the event. And I also want to know your take on Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, baby, because we are here. Let's go.
Oh, man. So
playoffs, baby. Top 6. I'm ready. I'm all the way in right now.
So let me just say, last week was a really good birthday week. You know, started off at the 40-40 Club through Knicks Fan TV, BetMGM experience. That was great. Even though we lost to the Memphis Grizzlies in overtime, it was a good showing by the Knicks with Julius Randle fouling out. Home opener back again. Still representing KJE at all these places, baby. Don't worry about it. Knicks Fan TV, OmniFan home opener, season home opener at the Garden last Friday against the Detroit Pistons, where we just mollywopped them, as my guy Jon would say. And then we got the shellacking. We're not even out. Actually, it wasn't a shellacking. We just defeated the Orlando Magic. They're talented. Paolo Banchero is legit. All right. That boy is legit. All right.
He's legitimately baptized by Obi Toppin. That's what he's legit.
He's baptized, but he's still a good player. I'm gonna give him that. But overall, man, it was a great experience, a great birthday week. On top of that, the Jets won. Yankees stunk it up, which we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna tickle Greg's fancy over here with that conversation. But the New England Patriots benched McCorkle and they lost to the Chicago Bears. So all is looking up for my birthday and everything. Knicks are looking good, bro. You want to talk about Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle? That is like the power. That is the power duo right now.
Yes, I want to talk about Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle because everybody's been screaming at me, telling me it's not going to work. How can you overpay for Brunson? We got to trade Randle. Tibbs is an idiot. Like I know it's only 3 games, but yes, I would like to start with the $100 million man. Both of our $100 million men.
We have $300 million men.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. So
I don't want to talk about the third one for now because that's another conversation. Let's start with the positive vibes.
All right. So I like it, man. I like what I'm seeing. You've been preaching it. I came around to it. It was the whole Julius Randle needed a point guard, and we're seeing that. You know, you're hearing conversations where Julius Randle is playing fun and free because he's got Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's taking the pressure off of Julius Randle. We doesn't have to be the initiator every single possession, and we got a point guard, Jon.
It's amazing.
Honestly, when I was in the Garden, in the section for Knicks Fan TV and Omni Fan, it's all they screamed was, "We got a point guard," and it can't. There's no better banner slogan that can be said for this team right now, because Jalen Brunson just makes the game that much easier for Julius Randle and everyone else around him, man. I mean, he's averaging 17 points right now. He's averaging 3.7 rebounds, 7 assists right now. And he's just doing a phenomenal job.
No, talk to me about the turnovers.
Well, he's got 3 turnovers last game, but he was doing 3 turnovers.
He only has 3 turnovers. Like, yeah,
he had 21 assists, 3 turnovers. It's a great ratio. 21 assists, 3 turnovers. Phenomenal, man. Because he had 15 and 6 prior to that. 15 assists, no turnovers. He got 6 last night. Got 3 turnovers in the process, but still a great ratio, man. 21-3. That's phenomenal. And he's making the game easier, man. He's making the game easier. And it's not any of this like simple read stuff that you would see like Russell Westbrook do, like running in transition, just dumping it off. No, he is like calling out pick and rolls, snake dribbling inside, waiting for like causing the defense to come to him and then finding somebody, right, out of non-scripted plays. That's the stuff we were missing. Brunson's a 3-level scorer. Dude could do it all, man. I'm just happy. And he defensively, I think he's taken it up another notch, dude.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
He wasn't doing this on Dallas last season. He's taking it up another notch.
I think he was. I just think we were so blind to it because of Luka. And anytime that he came in, we just thought it was, fluke. And Jalen Brunson is who we all thought he was going to be, or at least what the contract was, right? Like, this is what we paid him to be. So that's why I'm not shocked.
Or at least what we were preaching last season, where we were asking for Jalen Brunson before we just signed Jalen Brunson on this podcast.
Yeah, he needed to be the defensive stopper. He needed to get those offensive fouls. He needed to pick the ball, get in the passing lane, and he needed to be, the commander of the offense. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's making Julius Randle might be the happiest person in the entire Garden yesterday. And that makes me the happiest person, like the second happiest person in the whole Garden, because he's playing nice, he's playing free, he's bailing the offense out. He's doing the Julius Randle bailouts when we need him to. He's finding mismatches. Like, he had a mismatch in the corner. I forgot who he's on the baseline. He wanted to spin move so bad. He like passed off to get it back just so he could like be like, all right, I passed it, just to get back and spin move. And it was a great play. He's getting boards. The only issue I have, we got to get better on interior defense with Julius Randle. It's probably a little bit to do with the center stuff. I also want to talk about that later. But, dude, I have nothing but great things to say about Julius Randle, about Jalen Brunson. That Fournier play yesterday, I mean, like literally made my heart flicker. Like, Julius Randle usually gets the ball within the last 8 seconds of the shot clock, and everyone just stands there. He dribbles for 5 seconds, shoots it, misses it. Everyone gets annoyed. But nobody did anything to help the situation. You asked for a bailout. It didn't work, and now everyone's pissed off. I hate that. That's what I hate that about humans in general, about regular everyday issues, right? Where you just stand there, complain about the problem, and don't give a solution, right? Yeah. And that's what the Knicks were doing with on the floor, Julius Randle. Now, Evan Fournier, where he hasn't been his true self, or maybe he is his true self from what we saw last year. He's pretty much exactly what we remember from last year. But he's creating his own shot off the ball, right? Like, it was like 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Terrence Ross is on Fournier. On top of the key, Julius Randle kind of on the elbow, just like dribbling. Fournier cuts in, makes sure that Terrence Ross kind of like edges towards Randle. Everybody knows that Randle's gonna shoot it, right? That's in the game script. The ISO, the shot clock's going down. Randle's just gonna take it. Kind of just like a sneakily, backtracks to the corner, his favorite spot, and does his, honestly, what I'm going to start calling the French fade. He loves that. He loves that shot. Even if nobody's fade on him, he just fades out of bounds. I don't get it. I like it. But
what haircut is this, bro? All right, now are you getting it? The French fade.
It makes no sense, bro. But, that's what I like about the off-ball movement. And then Obi Toppin, he's perfect for this offense. He runs it. Cam Reddish, he's an erratic dude. I don't know how he's going to fit with the whole Grime situation coming back. I'd like to get your take on that. And lastly, I mean, I have an issue with the centers, so I don't want to say lastly, but what's going on with RJ? Is he coming back? Is he just on a mini slump?
Hey, I have no idea what's going on with RJ. He's been up and down. He had a bad game against Memphis, awesome game against Detroit. He saved himself against the
Magic.
So
What do you mean by save himself?
well, he got 20 points. He kind of gathered himself in the second half, found his offense, and was able to create some score. Was able to score. He played better defense. He was then starting to pass. He turned it on in the second
He had
half.
a phenomenal game versus the Magic. Like in a narrow view, like if you just watched that game, RJ had a great game. I mean, I know this isn't real analysis. My mom is the most I think objective, because she's either on or off on players. Like she either hates them or likes them based on every game. And especially Randle. She was so happy with Randle, which was amazing, but she would love the RJ. She calls him Star J. She loves him. RJ. She screams about RJ Barrett, and he did phenomenal yesterday. There was no complaints.
Yeah,
he was aggressive. The only thing, he missed
aggressive.
A couple threes. Like if he hits
It's
those
not even that,
threes,
dude.
we're gonna be so hyped. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that will be hyped, but it's also the shot selection, dude. Like he's forcing stuff. Like he went 1 for 9 in the first half. I'm sorry, but once you get that contract, you're in the 4th year. All those things, like we're looking for you to be this franchise player. You have to play better. You got to have better shot selection. And the good thing about RJ is that he usually has a good floor game and is able to adjust. He didn't do that against Memphis. He didn't play make. He was still playing okay defense, but he didn't play make. And he he was okay on the boards. He had a better floor game, but really it comes down to shot selection because not the Memphis Grizzlies, the Orlando Magic were still in this game. Like in the third quarter, we're talking about them taking over, and it was thanks to Jalen Brunson, who had a quick 7 points to really get back the lead for the New York Knicks. But for RJ, like it comes down to efficiency, man. And you have to have, I understand that this is a thing that with RJ where he has slow starts and then he figures it out. But I want to be aggressive. It's still showing that there's still more areas of his game to develop, especially the mid-range. Although he did have a mid-range jumper yesterday.
That's what I'm saying.
But
he was cool.
And like it's gradual improvement. I understand it's going to take more throughout the season for him to get comfortable. But
79
while you're
games
not
left.
there yet, I'm looking for him to like really to just really have better shot selection, man. To be more judicious and just draw the defense, look for somebody else, get other players involved. Like 1 for 9, like 9 shots and just getting one. That's rough, bro. Some of those shots were a little rough to watch.
The efficiency is always going to be a problem. If it's going to be shot selection, then I'll be worried because that has to do with confidence and getting open and spacing. And I'm sure he has to just try to find his grind. Brunson and Randle sure have found the chemistry. RJ, he's just trying to find his groove. There's 79 games left, man. I think there's plenty of time for RJ to get it together. Grimes isn't there. I'm wondering what Grimes. First of all, this foot thing is weird. I hope it's not plantar because that's what it always ends up being when it's weird feet stuff that no one wants to talk about. Lingering issues. I wonder what Grimes and Fournier kind of being mediocre and Cam Reddish being erratic. Like, what's your take on Cam Reddish? Like the hottest topic in Knicks Twitter history, I think.
I honestly don't think he's that erratic, man. I think he's been pretty solid through the first 3 games. I think he's been pretty efficient, especially obviously against Memphis, where he just went ballistic and got 20 plus points. And then yesterday he was still efficient too. 3 for 4, had your 2 rebounds, had 2 assists. Like he was doing his thing, playing solid defense. He did it within 14 minutes, but it's still solid play for a guy who just came in 3 for 4. You can't ask for more to get you 7 points like that.
Yeah.
I think he's been pretty solid, man. He didn't have like that gangbuster game against Detroit, but it was fine. Everybody else pitched in.
The bench was hot.
Going to have it. Yeah,
the bench was hot. He didn't need to. Like D Rose was doing so good. Fine. IQ was fine.
For a guy who's been erratic in the preseason, he's been pretty on point for the first 3 games. And you bring up like what's going to happen with Quentin Grimes when he comes back. I'm looking at Evan Fournier, man. Like I know you don't like to hear it, but the defense, dude, I'm really thinking about defense at this point. Like Cam offers, he offers the wingspan. He has a tantalizing ability to just drive and to attack, which we don't really have on this team for someone his size. And Fournier can shoot. I think Macri actually talked about it. He tweeted today that Cam has, I think, one of the better, more efficient shots today. And we could talk to him about that. Macri is coming up next on the pod, so make sure to stick around. But between him, Quentin Grimes, I'd like to see those 2 guys go while the Knicks still get young. And Fournier, like, he's good right now for depth, but I'm expecting it's going to be – I'm looking at Fournier, man, when it really comes down to the shooting guard position.
Does that mean that D Rose's minutes are going to decrease when Grimes comes in as well?
That's an interesting question. I really like. He's been getting very little minutes, and
I know.
Emmanuel Quickly's been the first guard off the bench.
I
All right,
know.
I'm intrigued to see how this goes. I know, like we talk about resting, and I think it's just trying to gradually bring D Rose on slowly so he doesn't injure himself. And
Yeah, he's on the bike on every time. He's on the bike if he's not in the game. He just doesn't sit on the bench.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's a fact. I'm curious, man. I think it's just more so rest and getting him prepared. I mean, we even heard Derrick Rose say that he's going to do whatever is best for the team. He's meant to push. He said himself, he's on this team to help push the pace, assist, attack the rim. And if he's not doing that, let somebody else do it. He wants this team to succeed. Like, he's really trying to take that leadership role. And I think this is part of it, showing that he's willing to not worry about how many minutes he plays and let everyone else succeed. And he's honestly, we don't have Taj. He's the last Tibb veteran to really kind of groom everybody and show what being a team player is and everything is all about. So I'm all here for it.
Listen, man, Scott Foster was reffing that game, and the only reason I noticed is because the fouls were insane, and I was like, oh my goodness, who is reffing this game? And I see Scott Foster's face. I had to start screaming Scott Foster the whole game because the early foul trouble for Jalen Brunson was tough, but once IQ got the first couple fouls, he kept looking at if you go watch that game, go look at IQ, what he's doing after he got that second foul. Also in the first quarter, he just keeps looking at the bench, like what's going on? Tibbs is starting to be loose with it, right? He's got the beard going. He's switching up his rotations. He's playing Cam Reddish.
Staggering those rotations, man. It's
keeping
so
IQ in with fouls. But speaking of fouls, and man, I feel like a broken record here, right? The last question before we move on to this Macri interview, I want to hear from the Tratacaster. Is Mitch Robinson and Hartenstein going to be a chemistry issue by the end of this year? Because Hartenstein gets a hell of a lot of minutes, man. And they both get a hell of a lot of fouls. They both are going to get 10 fouls a game, which is going to be tough. But Hartenstein, without fact checking, has he been getting more minutes than Mitch? Like just by my eye.
Yes.
So I know he just got paid.
And I think
he's being cute in the press conference, saying, "Well, I want to get paid more." Like, yeah, I want to improve because I want to get paid more. I just smelled the bag. I want more. He's being cute with it. But this is only game 3 of game 4. Like, what's gonna happen game 60?
Look, man. We knew that they both have two different skill sets. Mitch is more defensive oriented, while Hartenstein is more offensive oriented. I would say Hartenstein has more minutes because Mitch was in trouble against Memphis, and Hartenstein had played the most minutes he ever had in his career.
Yeah.
So that's going to help.
That was game 1.
It's only 26 points. Look, it's 26.7 for Hartenstein and it's 22 for Mitch, and they're both averaging 3.3 personal fouls as of right now.
They're going to be averaging 4.5.
Dude,
I'm not even joking. It's crazy.
It's wild, but I don't think there's a chemistry issue. I think it's depending on what the game needs. Like, do you need more defense or do you need more offense? Like when we were destroying Detroit, Tibbs left Hartenstein in there because we needed some offense just to keep this thing going. And I think the same thing went for Memphis as well, that he left him in there because Mitch doesn't offer that same type. Like we saw the teardrop, we saw the floater from Hartenstein. He just is able to draw his defender out of the paint and open it up for everybody else. That's where you're able to see Randle, RJ, Cam, everybody. All those guys were just able to attack the rim because of that. So I think Hartenstein, if it's nice calls for more offense, you're going to see Hartenstein. If it's nice for defense, like we saw last night, Mitch was on his defensive bag last night. Mitch has been playing pretty solid outside of the Grizzlies game, but he's been playing some solid defense.
But his numbers aren't going to be there, which is, I think, are interesting. Like yesterday, he played solid in what he could, but like the rebounds weren't there, the points were, so it's just going to be an interesting year. This is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what, John? We got Macri coming up next. So for everyone, if you haven't done so, please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. You can also find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press, which is partnered with Fanside and Minute Media. We also got that YouTube channel, Knicks, Jets, etc. find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, hit the like button, add a comment. We add to the conversation. We want to know your thoughts and opinions. What do you think about the first 3 games for the New York Knicks? And what do you think about the remaining upcoming schedule? We're going to talk about that.
What are you mad about?
Later on.
What are you mad about? Tell us what you're mad
about.
Come on,
let us know. Everyone's got a gripe. Everyone's got a gripe. We won yesterday. I'm looking at the Knicks fan TV chat. Everyone's got a gripe. Even people got gripe on Twitter today. Everyone's got a gripe, man. We're still winning. Everyone's got a gripe.
The Jets are 5-2. We're complaining about the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, what are you mad about this 2-1 Knicks right now?
Also, make sure to check out Winning Picks Weekly and other podcasts on the channel. It's also part of Minute Media. These guys are hot. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and coach Chip Murphy. These guys go through every single sport possible. It's college football and NFL season. So make sure to check these guys. Yeah,
we don't even need to advertise it, bro. We're hot.
I'm just
honestly, just if you want picks, you come join us on Winning Picks Weekly on the Knicks Jets YouTube or on our Spotify on the Winning Picks Weekly, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcast. But it doesn't even need. We are so hot that I honestly feel weird advertising at this point.
Yeah, but make sure to check them out. If you need to put money down the line, these guys got you covered. And last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. All right, stay tuned. After this break, we're going to get into our Macri interview.
Shout out Knicks Film School.
I promised you listeners, we have Jonathan Macri with us today. So we're going to dive into some questions with Macri, get his takes on the couple of games that we saw so far and some upcoming season questions as well. Mr. Macri, how are you doing, man? It's been a minute. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. 3 games in, 79 to go, at least, hopefully more. I think there will be more. I don't know how many more, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I like that there is, look, we're coming off 2 straight wins. But I like that there is a generally good vibe. Seems like there's a good vibe with the team for sure, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But seems like good vibe in the fan base. Seems like things are pretty positive, and like there's not a whole lot of, consternation. I'm not a fan of consternation.
Except for quickly, apparently not passing to Cam Reddish, which he quickly resolved that whole narrative last night.
I missed the memo on that whole thing, and it's like, God, I'm not, as you guys probably know, I'm not really as online as I was when I was like first coming up, and I missed some of these things, and I gotta say I'm not really I'm not regretful that I missed that whole thing.
That was really deep into stretching for Knicks Twitter, but man, after this entire long off season, like from your perspective, from Knicks Film School, like every single week, right? Going over the cap and going over like potential trades and then going over what we think of Tibbs and should we trade Randle? What do we do with Fournier? And do we care about Grimes? I mean, just all of that, I guess, just came barreling into like this little container that we have, and just none of it was true. Like we all like bottled up all this craziness into this little bottle. We're like, all right, this is gonna be crazy when we opened it, and then it was just like nothing. And we couldn't be any happier. I mean, we lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the darling of the NBA, like I was talking to Alex about, which doesn't seem so bad anymore, right? That's a great loss, overtime, and now we're cleaning up, in the East, which is we winning games that we should win. I think my first question to you is going to be with both the center signings that we had this year. So we re-signed Mitch, that was a hot button topic all year, and then we had this guy Hartenstein that came out of nowhere. We signed him, and kind of the Knicks fan base is like, all right, what's really going on here? We also signed Sims. He's not going to really play with us, so we're just like, what's going on here? Some interesting, I think, observations. One, Hartenstein's getting more minutes. Just, with my eye, and Alex fact checked me, he actually is getting more minutes. I'm just like watching these games, and yesterday versus Orlando, foul trouble, fine, but versus the Grizzlies, Hartenstein's getting career minutes. I'll just toss it up to you. No, I won't like point you in any direction, but what's your thoughts on the center position and kind of what's going on with the rotation and how they're playing in general?
How the centers are playing? I think the centers have been outstanding. I think there's an argument that center is their strongest position in terms of. I put out a poll the other day. I was like, where do you rank the Knicks point guards against other groups, other point guard groups in the league, considering like, Brunson, Rose, and if you want to throw Deuce in there. And I think most people voted for like 11 to 15, which I think is right. I think they're probably somewhere closer to 15 if I had a vote. But like, I think in terms of 48 minutes worth of center play, I think there's a real argument that the Knicks are in the top 10. And it's funny you mentioned Sims. Funny enough, like literally right as I was coming on, Benji, shout out Benji Ritholtz, shot me over a tweet from New York Basketball. Again, shout out to him, great Twitter account. Tibbs today was talking about Jericho Sims and how he's like very impressed. He's been terrific. He'll be ready when his opportunity comes. So like they have real depth at that position. And what's nice about it is like those guys do different things, and yet they also do enough of the same things to get Tibbs to like again, Tibbs is not going to play someone in the middle that doesn't offer real rim protection, and Hartenstein is not Mitch, but he's good. He's serviceable. He's there were some really outstanding numbers with him on that end of the court, which paint him as like an elite rim protector last year. I don't know if I buy all that, but in terms of the minutes thing, to me, I don't care about opening night because I think Mitch was in foul trouble. I don't like Hartenstein playing 40 minutes. If anything, maybe we could have seen Sims play a little bit there, but I don't. To me, that's fine. I think Mitch is probably going to play 26, 28 minutes a night, maybe upwards
you think
of
it's
30.
Kumbaya? You think it's going to be? Do you think everything's going to be good between the centers? It's not going to be
I don't think I'm not
a Randall Obi last year situation.
Oh
where
no,
now
no,
we're pissed. Okay,
I don't worry about that at all.
Okay,
no, because Randall, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but Randall, there were issues with Randall. Let's just leave it at that for now.
I know it's a different situation. I'm just thinking because Mitch today, it was in a positive way and it was kind of in jest, but he was like, "Hey, I know I got a little bit of money, but I'm still hungry. I still need to work hard." Like that contract.
I love that. I love
that for now. I love that for now. But if he's not going to start playing, his minutes are going to start getting decreased. Then his future contract's going to get lower, and that's
no. I don't. I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of the loop. I'm not worried about his minutes at all. I just think game one.
No. This is from me. This is just from my. This is from my view of just watching the centers.
I'm not worried about that at all. I think Mitch has through the preseason. I mean, to say nothing of like his career leading up to this year, preseason and so far through the 3 games. Even though he was in foul trouble against Memphis. There is a real conversation I think that we need to have that as far as a drop center, and if you look at the drop centers on defense, it's like take out Bam. Bam's his own thing. Okay. Maybe I'm trying to think of like another, not Draymond, not that he's really like a true center, but like if you're just looking at like the drop centers on defense, he has to now at this point be in the conversation for top 3 guys in the league. Like Rudy's obviously the standard bearer, but like, does he start to decrease at some point? So like Robert Williams obviously had a really good year last year, but he's out hurt right now. There are some other guys that are really good, but I cannot be more impressed with his defense. And I think it is, and the offensive rebounding again is also outstanding and is a lob threat. Like his role on this team, I think is immensely secure because of the certainty that he provides specifically on the defensive end. What I do find interesting, and I don't think it's going to cause any tension, but what interests me moving forward is you have on the team, obviously your 3 ball dominant guys all want to operate in the paint, Brunson, RJ, and Julius. And there are ways to do that with Mitchell Robinson on the court for sure. But it's a lot easier to do it with Isaiah Hartenstein on the court because he's a floor spacer. Is he a legit? He's not Kelly Olynyk out there yet, but like he can shoot it. He's made some of them this year, and like he'll fade out to the 3, he'll fade out to the corner, and teams are paying attention to him when he's out there, which is all you need. You need teams to at least acknowledge his presence when he is behind the arc, and I think so far they're doing that. So that's something that's interesting to me moving forward. But like. If you tell me this year that like Hartenstein averages 22 minutes a game and Mitch is like at 26, like that, I think that's fine. I think that's great. I don't think Mitch is going to mind one bit.
Yeah, and I think it really just comes down to that Memphis game where Hartenstein played so much. You look at last night, Mitch played 30, Hartenstein played 18. Detroit, Mitch played 23, Hartenstein played 21. So I think it's going to all even out based on if you need defense or offense, depending on the night, because both of them just offer that different thing.
For sure.
I like that. I like that, actually. Some offensive, defensive subs.
Yeah, but Mac, you talked about operating in the paint, and I want to get your opinion on RJ Barrett and his rough start. In my opinion, it's all not totally rough, but it's kind of been up and down because Memphis was just rough. That was just a rough game. Had a bomb game against Detroit. Then yesterday starts off rough, but finishes nicely and still gets a quiet 20. What has been your thoughts on RJ Barrett so far this season? And do you see this being a constant thing throughout the remainder where he's going to be up and down?
I mean, my thoughts on RJ are the same thought that I've had on RJ for 3 years, which is that I want to, it's like the X-Files poster. Like I want to believe, I want to believe that eventually he has the efficiency of like a league average wing. And yet I looked it up today on Cleaning the Glass. There are 79 players in the NBA that have played at least 100 minutes before what day is today? Tuesday, before Tuesday night's games. RJ Barrett ranked 79th of those 79 players in points per shot attempt. That's not great. I understand his 3 games. I understand he was rough from 3 and like the whole thing, but like at some point he needs to start making shots consistently or more consistently than he's doing right now or that he's done throughout his career. And I think the tough part with him is like, we still don't really know what that looks like in an ideal world because we are coming off this year where he had a 30 usage rate from, December 31st to the end of the year, when he wasn't efficient, but like, okay, fine. It was a 30 usage, but then you compare that to the year before, he's killing it from deep and he's this great off-ball threat, but he's an off-ball threat far more than he's an on-ball threat, and like where does this end up? What does the apex version of RJ Barrett look like on a good team? I think that's still a major question. And what I would like to see more from him, and again, shout out to Benji Ritholtz because he pointed this out on the post game last night, is like it's okay for him to pass more. Like some of it is just not taking the bad shot.
Right.
And he still takes too many bad shots. So lessen those. And I know, like, I'm sure he thinks of himself as one of the best, like he's a star and like what do stars do? Stars take and hit tough shots. Well, at some point the numbers are going to be like, you should not take as many of these shots as you are taking, take fewer of them. And I'm just going to be monitoring that moving forward. It's pretty simple for me as far as RJ is concerned.
So I was watching that post game. And I was like shouting almost like I was listening to it, but I was just like, I feel like you guys were alluding to it, but you don't want to say it because you want to be nice. And we all love RJ at the end of the day. But what does he do right? Or what does he do best?
Well, I think he gets downhill. And I'll give another shout out. Tom Piccolo, who wrote a great piece for the Knicks Film School newsletter a few weeks ago. I do think the fact that RJ gets downhill and gets so many shots at the rim, and again, if you look at from New Year's Eve on last year, started getting to the line a lot. I do think that matters, and I do think that that's real, and I do think that puts pressure on a defense because the Kobe assist thing, that's real. Like that's a real thing. Like he got a couple last night with putbacks. I think Hartenstein had at least one, maybe he had both of them, but he had at least a couple of those last night. Like I think that's a real positive. But if your question is like, what is RJ Barrett ever going to be elite at? Other than taking a ton of shots at the rim, I'm not sure what the answer to that question is. But again, this is not like I've been saying this for years, and I've been called an RJ hater by every, all corners of the internet because I need to see more before I'm going to anoint him something that I just don't think we've seen the evidence of yet. That doesn't mean he's not an excellent player. I think he's going to be he is good, and I think he's going to be even better. But
so do you think Brunson? Because we've seen Brunson help Randle. We're going to talk about that in a second. But do you think Brunson is going to help RJ get to that next level?
I don't. If I'm being honest, look, Brunson being on your team will help everybody on the team.
Yeah,
be very clear. But Bro, I think for Randle, we've seen Julius Randle hit tough shots, a lot of tough shots, because he's done it. He's done it throughout his career. He has amazing touch around the rim. He has amazing touch around the basket. Now, granted, a lot of that touch was deployed in situations where he was either the five or he was playing alongside a stretch five. So, not a situation that's going to be the case here unless he shares the floor with Hardenstein, but that's probably not going to happen a lot. Anyway, like I think for him coming into the season, it was almost more mental. And I don't mean like getting out of his own head. That's a separate issue. I just mean like him looking at this and being like, I don't have to do it all. Like Jalen Brunson, that dude is freaking amazing at calling his own number and converting. Unreal.
So much, Macri. I can't explain.
Dude, he's like his bag is bottomless. That's what I just keep saying. There's no end to his bag. The shots that he pulls out. So if you're Julius, like, and you could pick and choose your spots a little bit more, and then obviously if you play fast and you move without the ball, and like we saw him, he hit those couple of running floaters in the Magic game, like all that stuff. He can do this stuff. We've seen him do this stuff. There's a reason the guy was picked 7th in like a loaded draft, and people were like so high on him even coming out of high school. Like he's a really super talented guy that has had really great rim finishing numbers at various points in his career. It's just about fully optimizing him. With RJ, I feel like his way about going about the game is pretty basic right now, which is that he's either going to shoot a spot up or he's going to get the ball and go downhill and drive, and he's either going to shoot it or he's going to pass it. I don't think that there's as much offensive diversity to his game in Julius Randle, and that's because I just don't think he has the ability to bend a defense in the way that Julius Randle does, because he doesn't make the kind, like you watch. I killed Julius Randle last year. Fucking killed him.
We know
relentlessly.
Yeah.
But that dude makes tough shots, and like you saw last night when he was feeling it, right? There was like the fadeaway, right? There was like a couple of other, like he's early on this season. You could 2, 3, 4 times a game, like making tough baskets. He could do that. That's a thing that he does. RJ's never done that. Like, okay, occasionally he'll have a game where he's like really feeling it, and you'll see a couple like, wow, that was quite a runner, but not to the level that Julius does. So that's why I don't know that I'm going to say that Brunson is going to help RJ as much as he's going to help Julius. I hope I'm wrong with that, though. All right, so who knows?
Okay, well,
dude, Jules has been amazing. I know we're going to move on from Jules, but I just want to say, like, so far he's looked super I've never seen him in this shape in my life.
Yeah, he's great.
On the bench, like yesterday, RJ's walking off. He's like talking to RJ, giving him a pep talk. Like usually that's, Randall's sprinting to the locker room, because he's pissed off about something. So the only thing I'm worried about is the fact that Brunson could save Randall after, you're the number one, slanderer of Randall in our streets, right? In our Knicks Twitter streets. And we know that we respect, right? You were the number one guy. It's because you were so high on him 2 years ago, right? It wasn't because. So that's why the high was so high and the low was so low. Yeah. And here we are. So what I'm worried about is like that Brunson could help this guy so much in 3 games, and now kind of what everybody's saying about RJ and we're defending, we've been defending this for so long. They're kind of being right about RJ being inefficient, about RJ not fitting, about RJ needing the ball.
But here's the thing,
my concern meter, I'm on like a 3. But like it's been on a 0 for a long time with RJ, and it's starting to click up now that we have a point guard.
It's just it's really hard to have 3 ball dominant guys in your starting lineup. Like it doesn't, like I forget who said it first, but at some point, some very wise person says like somebody's got to be Chris Bosh, and that's just reality. And the big threes that work. They work because they're shooting. That's why they work, and that's why I find it very interesting. One of the numbers that I find fascinating early in the season is that Julius Randle has taken 18 threes. He's taken 6 threes a game. He's taken 16 spot up threes. And guess what? He's hitting them. He hit 37. He's 6 for 16. Now, is that great? No, but 37%, that'll Man, if he could hit 37% on catch and shoots, not spot ups, it's a slight difference. If he could hit 37% on catch and shoot threes this year, holy hell, am I excited for the Knicks offense. But you got to have shooting, and typically one of your stars is going to be in more of an off-ball role and just be ready to like catch and shoot. But again, we saw RJ do that 2 years ago, and he did it freaking great.
Yes, he did.
He slumped to start the year, and then he took off. He was like 42% from three after the first 8 or 10 games of the We Here season. Man.
Shout out to the Knicks Film School hoodie.
Yeah. I love that. It's still my favorite shirt that we've ever done. Anyway, I need to get a new one. Mine's like all faded and dingy. But yeah, like if he has to go back to being more of that player, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't even think he'll be overpaid. I think like that, like, you know, look at Mikal. I mean, RJ's not the defender that Mikal Bridges is, but like, look at Mikal Bridges' contract, and that's a damn bargain.
Yeah.
And if he could do the same off-ball work that Mikal does with maybe a little more on-ball mixed in, that's why I'll move on after this, or I'll turn it back to you guys. The notion of RJ playing with second units has always been very fascinating to me, because it makes so much more sense to me to like, yeah, obviously start him. Like, you're not going to bench RJ Barrett. That's ridiculous. Yeah. But like, work your rotation so that he's playing a more significant amount of minutes with the backups, where he could go into his bag against opposing teams' backups, where it might not be as difficult for him to like, you know, be a little bit more efficient, and he could actually do some more on-ball stuff. That's what I think his long-term, you know, ideal role is.
Yeah, and we're seeing that from Tibbs, where he's staggering these rotations, something that we were just begging for last season because all we got was hockey lineup last year. Now we're seeing RJ with the second unit. We're seeing quickly closing games with the first unit. Yep. We're seeing Isaiah Hartenstein and quickly together with some of the starters. Yeah, Tibbs has been doing a good job so far. I mean, the one that stood out to me last night was RJ, Fournier, Brunson. Yeah, in the third quarter with Hartenstein and Obi. I really like that.
It's awesome.
And you gave RJ's chance to shine without Randle being out there, and still Brunson was able to get everything going. So I loved everything
Maybe
about
that's
it.
the key, Alex. Maybe that's Brunson? The key. Separate RJ and Randle. Maybe that's what you guys mean by like moving them to the second unit without saying it.
No, I don't. Let me be very clear. They should. That would be insane.
No, not to start off. No, to start. I'm just saying, like, just for efficient minutes, because they do kind of occupy the same space.
I don't,
because they are both kind of downhill. They both are taking spot up threes. Just one's hitting them, one's not.
To me, it's fascinating. This is the fourth year these two players have played together. Which, if you look, not to go off on a tangent, but if you look at through Knicks history, there's not that many like top guys that have that much longer track records playing together unless it's during periods of success. Like, it's a rarity. It's like, I don't know, the most recent one you could point to is probably Jamal Crawford and like Stephon Marbury. I don't know. Like, that's like, it doesn't happen a lot. These two guys have been together for a long time. And the fact that we're now sitting here in year 4 of RJ and Julius, and I still don't feel like I don't want to say there's no chemistry. I don't even know what that means. But like, do we have any sense that they make each other better on a basketball court? I personally don't. I'm happy for someone to tell me I'm wrong or point me to some evidence the numbers certainly don't really say that. Like, yeah, I'm sure you could find some numbers where it's like, oh, in these particular lineups, but like, there's no overwhelming evidence that RJ plus Julius is like, oh, you're really setting up for something great. Then, like,
it really feels like two worlds when they're like, when each one gets the ball, even though they're starting, it's like, all right, this is heavily focused on RJ. This is heavily focused on Randle. It doesn't feel like it's all coming together where they're both helping each other. I would say Randle helps RJ more so than the other way around, but that's just kind of that's just kind of my take on it. But the person that's helping everybody right now is one Jalen Brunson. What are your thoughts on Jalen Brunson so far?
Oh my God.
That's poetic, Macri. We want to hear it.
I mean, what can you say about him? I said the moment they signed him, I said he's the Knicks' best player. I didn't think there was any conversation. Now, the way Julius has come out, he's making that interesting. I will say that, but
thank God.
With you know, yes, he's a point guard, and we've always needed a point guard. More than that, and this is the point that I keep making, he's an efficient shot creator. He creates baskets for himself and for other people. And he's really good at that. And he does it really efficiently. He probably won't do it as efficiently in New York as he did in Dallas. But that has, like, people have talked about, like, oh, what's he going to be away from Luka Doncic? I think much better question about, like, what is Brunson going to be away, outside of Dallas? Forget Luka. I mean, obviously, Luka always helps. Again, he's a player that makes everybody around him better, look better, the whole thing. I was more curious, like, what is he going to be away from Maxi Kleber, who was a great stretch five and, like, gave Brunson so many opportunities to work with in an unimpeded paint. And I am most curious about how he's going to be. And again, Benji's been talking a lot about this, how he's going to be able to, like, work his magic when there's, like, someone in the dunker spot. And when, like, teams are sagging off Julius or teams are sagging off RJ. It's, that's what's going to be tough. But, like, man, when you talk about shot makers in the league, I mean, I don't know. Are there 20 guys who are better than this dude? Are there 15 guys who are better than this dude? I know he doesn't do it off the dribble from behind the arc, and that's, like, the one thing that is different from him, versus, like, your elite, like, your Dames and your Currys and, like, your that upper echelon, like the Hall of Famers. But man, from, like, 16 feet in, like, you can't guard the guy. It's ridiculous, and that's
if our team
important.
could hit threes. If our team could hit threes from the corner, we'd be better than Dallas.
Well, the crazy thing is they've taken the second most corner threes of anyone in the league coming into Tuesday night, and they're hitting them at, like, a 34% clip, which is garbage. If they could just hit their corner threes at, like, 38, 39%, like, there's a chance this offense might be better than we expect, but I want to see it against better competition too.
So you talk about threes, and look, right now we got the wing position that's interesting outside of RJ Barrett. We got Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, who's still injured, and Evan Fournier. Quentin Grimes going to miss another game. Not third. This will be his fourth game of the regular season.
And then the 3 preseason games too.
Yep, and 3 preseason games. What do you make with Grimes fitting into this rotation? Do you think he can slide back in once he's healthy to the starters? Do you think he's going to take over Cam? Is Fournier the odd man looking out? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm as lost as everybody else. It's easier for me to say the things I don't think will happen. So, like, if Grimes is healthy, I think Grimes is going to play. I don't think there's any chance a healthy Grimes will not play. Now, whether he's healthier than they're letting on now, and this is more about just, like, kicking the can down the road and being, like, super extra precautious so Cam can keep getting minutes, I don't know. Who the hell knows? But I think if Grimes is healthy, he's going to play. I think Cam... I think if he continues trending upwards from where it's been 3 kind of very different games. Like the Memphis game, my goodness, his second half and the overtime was incredible, and then came back down to earth. And then the Orlando game was pretty good. I think if he keeps trending up, I have a very difficult time seeing him be out of the rotation as well. So, and, like, they're not taking quickly out of the rotation or anything like that. So then it comes down to, like, okay, well, Evan Fournier is currently starting 2 guard. And then there's Derrick Rose, who's been playing, like, 10 minutes a game, which I know you guys want to talk about too.
That might be the most surprising thing of this whole year. This whole D Rose 10 minutes thing so far.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just, and, like, I think some of it has to do with maybe he's not physically himself yet based on whatever injury happened last season. I don't know. Maybe they're saving him. Who the hell knows? But if you would have told me that I'd be sitting here a week into the season talking about Derrick Rose being removed from the rotation as, like, a possibility, I would have been like, you're insane. That's never going to happen. And yet, sitting here right now, would it shock me? No, it wouldn't shock me. I still, I don't know. If for instance, if Cam comes out the next 3 games and is just kind of like, somewhere in between, like, how he looked in versus Orlando versus how he looked in Detroit, I guess I could see them putting him back on the bench as the likeliest thing if Grimes is back. But it's tough not to ride this one out because, like, and again, I was never part of the Cam hive, but like the dude, I think there's something there still. I
Plays
think
defense. Plays defense in Tibbs' system. It's hard to take him out,
He
especially when
has-
Fournier's right there, man.
he has
Like-
defensive potential. He has defensive
Yeah.
potential. There's a difference between defensive potential and like actually playing defense that is like good possession to possession. He does like, we see the splash plays and like he gets his hands in there because there's like such long arms and like speed and the whole thing. But he also makes errors on defense. And I don't think he's as dependable as like pretty much or most of their other defenders. Just because like, that first my goodness, the first half against Memphis, like literally his first play of the game, he lost his man off ball, and that and then he's just, you get those things from Cam and it's year 4. And like what, when does that, so I think like that stuff has to go away. He needs to keep looking good with the ball. I don't know, man. I don't think there's an easy answer here.
Fournier seems like the easy answer.
It's not because
I know.
it's not for 2 reasons. He's still the best shooter on the team, on a team that needs
Can't
shooting.
shoot.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they get
Desperate
shooting.
of shooting, probably not can't shoot, just desperate of shooting.
Yeah, they need shooting, and he's their best shooter, and I believe that. And 2, $37 million guaranteed, and it's just to say that. I'm not even saying it's a wrong decision. I actually think it's probably the right decision to remove him from the rotation. But to say that putting $37 million on the bench is that's not poor asset management. That is abysmal asset management. That
That's why you got to trade him to the Lakers and get their first round pick. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
talk about abysmal management. If someone does a first round pick for Fournier, I will do an investigation.
No, they're not. Yeah, no one's giving up a pick for Evan Fournier. But like at the same time, can't believe I'm saying this. Like they're not going to be spenders this summer. They have no money. They're not going to be able to get under the cap. That's not a thing that's going to happen. So next year he becomes an expiring contract. So like, do they look at this and be like, if they think it's the best basketball decision, which I'm not sure that it is. But I think you could at least make that argument that is the best basketball decision when you blend the now and the long term. Would it be that insane to be like, you know what? We're not spending any money this summer anyway. We'll just, we're going to eat it. We'll try to flip him as an expiring this summer. We'll see what that gets us. Like, is that crazy? Maybe it's not. It's not how this front office is operated. We'll see. Maybe they're forced to operate that way, now.
It's interesting because you tweeted out earlier today that Cam Reddish is by far New York's most efficient catch and shoot player from deep.
So small sample size, 4 for 7, but yeah.
I know it's 4 for 7, but still, it's funny to see the efficiency, right? We're talking about efficiency. We're talking about potential defense. I mean, I'm going to ask you this question: who would you rather have playing defense, Evan Fournier or Cam Reddish?
Oh, Cam. Cam, it's and again, that's with acknowledgement that like Cam's going to do some things that make you shake your head. But you like my man, potential has gotten more coaches fired like than anything else. But like I can't believe I'm saying, I never would have thought I'd be saying this about Cam Reddish. I think you have to play this one out. I think his ceiling, to the extent that it's that the ceiling that people, I don't know if the ceiling people envisioned for him when he was like at Duke still exists. I don't know that we could can we really say that?
It's still out there. It's still maybe not in front office, but definitely amongst Cam Hive. There's the Paul George factor in there somewhere.
That's great. God. Go find me literally one other player in NBA history who had this trajectory. They were a top 4 recruit, played 1 season of college, were pretty bad, or at least underwhelmed, got drafted, had 3 years of their career where they were a borderline like rotation player in the league, and then skyrocketed to be, a multi-time all-star. Because if you're talking when you say
it out loud, it's just like
every prong is different. Like because like
happened.
Christian Laettner almost, but that he wasn't a one and done. You know what I mean? There's no one and dones that fall into that category. You're totally right.
Like you want to I don't know. Do you want to give me like D'Angelo Russell was like, really on the outs?
Ben Simmons.
Who?
Ben Simmons?
I don't. Well, I think Ben Simmons. I mean, Ben Simmons made all NBA teams, and now he's at like a Valley, and like I guess, but I don't know. But he's still considered like an important
A
piece
real
of
player.
with the. Hey, I don't think that's a comp, but like there's
Wiggins?
just this. What's that?
How about Wiggins?
Even Wiggins, though, when he was getting criticized as being like having the worst contract in the league, the dude was still putting up whatever he was putting up 17, 18 points a night.
Yep.
That's a good point, man. That's a good
Like-
point. Cam is in his weird own little section. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't. So that's why I like to. When we talk about the ceiling outcome, I don't think we could realistically have the same ceiling outcome that again existed like when he was starting at Duke. Like I think our realistic ceiling has to change. What is that? I don't know. Who the hell knows? But whatever it is, I think it's worth exploring. I'll say that.
All right, man. We're gonna leave you on this last question.
Sure.
We're not going to get too detailed into what you think this Knicks season is going to look like, how many wins. Who cares about that? I care about one thing and one thing only, and that's the playoffs. Are we going to make damn playoffs? Are we going to have a play-in? Like, what's this look like right now? I know it's too early in the East. You know, it's only 4 games in. But I have us at a 6 seed, but of course that's, 87% heart. And then, like 13% me actually looking at what's going on in the East. So I have him as a 6 seed. Alex has had us as a play-in. He fell in love after game 1. He's like, our 6 seed, but we're towing that line. Where do you sit, man?
I'm literally pulling up. Not that the standings mean anything, but I'm literally pulling up the standings as you asked me that. I think. Let me say this: is there a world where I think the Knicks are one of the 12 best teams by the end of the year? Yeah, sure. I think that world exists. I think it's highly unlikely, but I think that world exists.
What about just the East? Just the East.
Well, but see, that's the thing is it's like, the competition. It's just in the East, especially. Like I know Philly's or whatever they are. They're 1-3. Philly's gonna be fine. They're gonna figure it out. Boston's gonna be very good. And Milwaukee's, they're my title pick. So I think those 3 teams are kind of locks.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's gonna be fine. I know they're 1-3. I don't care.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. And Toronto, I also think is
they're good.
I think they're a pretty safe bet. So that's 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me the Nets are going to underwhelm enough for the Knicks to have a better record than them?
I'm more worried about the Cavs, to be honest.
That's the team.
Yeah.
That's the team. And they're going to be good. And they are good. And they're going to be good. And like they seem like I thought maybe it would take some time to figure out the Mitchell Garland thing. And I know Garland like got hurt and he was, didn't play in the last game. But man, that's why realistically, I think if you want to tell me like 7 seed,
okay,
sure. I'm not sure I'd bet on 7. I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable betting on 8 or 9, but I think they'll be 8 or 9. I think they'll be 8 or 9.
2-game playoff is tough. I'm scared of that. To be honest, like the play-in, I know like two losses, having to win 2 games if you're the 9 or the 10 just doesn't feel like a Nick thing to do, and then go win a series.
I don't. Well, Jesus Christ, winning.
I'm just saying that sounds crazy
series
to me. That sounds crazy to me. So I'm just trying to focus. I'm just trying to keep my focus clear this year, man, because last year things went awry. Randle this, Fournier that, Tibbs this. I'm just trying to focus on the playoffs.
If the Knicks win a playoff series this year,
Good
they
Lord.
should build statues to every player on the roster, the coach, every member of the front office, the fucking ushers, the people who laid the bricks for Madison Square Garden. They should unearth their corpses and make statues of them if the Knicks win a playoff series this year.
I love this. Let's clip this. Let's whoever needs to see it.
I mean, man, but look, who knows? Crazy shit happens. I mean,
right, so you got us as a play-in. It's fair. It's fair. You got us as a play-in, though. We're definitely making a play-in in your eyes.
I mean, definitely is like I don't know about definitely. Nothing.
I couldn't even grab that. I was trying to hold on to something.
Hey, man, you're the gambler over there. You know there's no such thing as definitely. Come on.
This is definitely here. The Knicks are definitely making a play-in. That I will say.
I hope they do, but like I think they could be a really good team, and I have that much. respect for the rest of the East. I really do. I think, like, my God, the Magic. I think I picked the Magic to finish either 14. I think I picked the Magic to finish 14th in the East. That team is. That's like, they're not a good team, maybe, but they're not bad.
But they're good.
They're talented. All right.
Yeah,
they're very talented.
You know what they
team.
are? They're thin. They're top heavy. They're thin, and they need their guys to get back. But there are other guys who are currently injured. But like if that's the 13th or 14th best team in the East, holy hell! It's brutal. It's just absolutely brutal, and like they don't. It's going to be tough for them, I think, to score against these better teams. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. So
I hope so too. 60, baby.
Hey, man. Well, on that note, Macri, thank you for joining us today. Please let our listeners know where they can find you. Although if they know about us and they don't know about you, that is a travesty.
No, thank you. That was very kind. Thank you guys for having me on. You can find me on Twitter at JC Macri NBA. You can, and all of our stuff is just under the Knicks Film School umbrella. So my newsletter is just Knicks Film School on Substack, Knicks Film School podcast, Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Yeah. We have a TikTok account now up and running.
Definitely get on the newsletter. I mean, that's like almost a daily text between me and my brother is your newsletter. Like something comes up.
I appreciate that. I love writing the newsletter. That's my favorite thing to do. But yeah, man, this was great.
We got the merch in the store. Did we hear merch in the store?
Oh yeah. Well, we gotta get some fresh merch out, which we're gonna do. Because I think there's definitely some cool stuff to this team has like some things that I would if you put it on a t-shirt, I would buy it. So we gotta get on that.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. We out.
Let's go Knicks. Making the playoffs.
All right.